By the time the boardroom lights came on, I had already lost the bonus I'd earned. Months of late nights and razor-sharp dashboards that turned failing campaigns into profit disappeared into my boss's pocket behind a practiced smile. He called it budget adjustments. I called it theft. I didn't want petty payback. I wanted a consequence that would expose the rot he hid. So I read the contract nobody bothers to read, a license clause buried in the analytics agreement. If it was breached, access could be suspended. He treated those dashboards like untouchable gods. He was wrong. One Monday morning, the screens would go black, and with them, his power. I wasn't born into power suits and polished conference tables. I fought for every seat I earned. As a data analyst, I lived in numbers, trends, and predictive models, the quiet architect behind every successful campaign my company bragged about. My dashboards were the lifeline: sales forecasts, ad performance, client insights. If those screens went dark, the executives would be blind. And yet, despite my contribution, I was invisible to the people cashing in on my work. At bonus season, I walked into the meeting with realistic expectations. I wasn't asking for a parade, just recognition. Instead, my boss delivered the speech I'll never forget. With a smirk, he thanked me for working like a machine, then said the company had to make hard budget decisions. No bonus. Not a cent. 2 weeks later, I discovered the truth. The bonus hadn't disappeared. He had taken it. Used it for himself. The same man who lectured me on team loyalty had gutted my reward to fatten his own. That was the spark. My anger sharpened into strategy. I didn't want to scream, I wanted to strike, and I had the perfect weapon. One he didn't even know existed, because I was the one who built it. The office was a pressure cooker of glass walls and whispered politics. People like me, quiet, technical, indispensable, were rarely acknowledged, but always exploited. I had seen the same playbook before: bosses stealing credit, trimming recognition, and feeding off the labor of those beneath them. But this time the theft was personal. I buried myself in the one place he couldn't touch, our analytics platform. To him, it was just numbers glowing on a screen. To me, it was a fortress built on code, contracts, and compliance. And hidden inside that fortress was my weapon, the license clause. It stated clearly that any breach, missed payment, unauthorized expansion, or misuse gave the administrator authority to suspend access. Guess who had written the compliance guidelines when the system was first installed? Me. I began to watch. Every billing cycle, every log entry. That's when I saw it. The company was already 3 weeks overdue on their renewal fee. The clause wasn't theoretical anymore. It was active, waiting to be triggered. All it would take was a single command from me. Meanwhile, tension in the office boiled higher. Executives praised the system in every meeting, as if it were divine. "We can't make decisions without it," the CEO declared. Departments were paralyzed without my dashboards. And my boss? He strutted through the halls like a king, still spending the money he'd stolen from me. His arrogance made him blind to the storm quietly forming under his feet. I stayed calm, biding my time. Rage wanted me to act immediately, but strategy told me to wait for maximum impact. That moment would come soon, on the morning of the quarterly board meeting, when every executive would be demanding data and the entire company would be depending on me. That's when I would flip the switch. The morning of the quarterly board meeting felt electric. Suits rushed past me with jittery energy, clutching tablets and reports that all pointed back to one thing: my dashboards. The entire C-suite was about to present to investors, and every decision hinged on those glowing graphs. My boss walked in with his usual arrogance, tie loosened just enough to look relaxed, grinning like the hero of a story he didn't write. I sat at my desk, calm. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. One command, 3 keystrokes, and everything they depended on would vanish. I pressed enter. Instantly, The dashboards froze. In the boardroom, screens turned black before flashing a single line of text. License suspended. Contact system administrator. Panic erupted. The CFO barked at IT to fix it. The CEO slammed the table, demanding numbers. Investors leaned back, unimpressed. Phones rang across departments, but every call ended the same way. Nothing worked. My boss went pale. He stumbled through excuses. Technical glitch. Server hiccup. Give us 5 minutes. But the silence of those screens grew heavier with each passing second. His reputation, built on my work, was crumbling in real time. Then the questions turned sharp. Why weren't payments renewed? Who approved this negligence? The spotlight shifted. The man who stole my bonus was suddenly cornered, his smirk gone, his authority collapsing in front of the very people he had been desperate to impress. I didn't need to raise my voice. The system had spoken louder than I ever could. By the end of that disastrous board meeting, the verdict was clear. The company had lost face with investors, delayed critical decisions, and exposed just how fragile their operations were without the analytics system I had safeguarded. My boss, once untouchable, was suddenly radioactive. The board demanded answers in writing. Finance traced the late renewal back to his desk. His excuse of oversight collapsed the moment I presented the clause he had ignored. The irony was perfect. He stole my bonus to feed his ego, but it was his negligence that broke the company's backbone. Within a week, he was terminated. No grand announcement, no farewell speech, just gone. The same way he had tried to erase my worth. As for me, I didn't stay to watch the rubble. I updated my resume with a single line. Designed and administered enterprise analytics systems, including compliance enforcement. Within days, I had offers. From firms that valued the invisible work behind the numbers. Walking away, I realized this wasn't just about a stolen bonus. It was about the quiet power of knowing your worth, and the danger of underestimating the people who keep the machine running. My boss thought I was replaceable. Instead, he learned a harder truth. The data he worshipped was mine to give, and mine to take away. So the next time someone in power decides to steal from the people holding the system together, they might want to read the fine print first, because sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's just one quiet keystroke.